Hi, I'm Dave from Retired Time Productions in the RC Man Cave here, and I got something interesting for you. I'm going to review this S028 mini DVR to see if it's possibly good for FPV to record flights of your aircraft. A couple of things I'm going to be looking at is, will it function properly off 12 volts, because I wanted a 12 volt DC input for my DVR. I want to see if it has a good enough resolution to record the OSD screen from my flight video. This is supposed to have D1, and it should capture more of the screen. The other thing I want to look at is, will it prevent the blue screens on the monitor when you get loss of video signal? So I'll be looking at those things while I'm reviewing it. So let's take a quick look at what's in the box first. There's the manual. So there we go. There's a USB port right here. And then there's this connector for all the other wires. And on this side, there's the IR port for the control, the remote control. And the full-size SD card slot. I like that. And then there's a motion detector light, a record light, and a power light. So it's fairly simple on the outside. Now, to get all the video connections and audio connections, there's just one cable. This looks like that. And then at the other end, you have all these wires. There's two video inputs. Well, they're actually audio video inputs. So there's two audio video inputs and one audio video output. It's a car DVR, security DVR. That just plugs right in there, and that breaks out all your wires. Now this is, like I said, these are all the AV inputs and outputs. There's also a bundle of exposed wires here, and I believe all I need is just two of them for the ground and the voltage, and all the others are basically for the alarms. Well, the DVR did not come with an SD card. It takes a full-size SD card up to 32 gig. So I went ahead and purchased a 16 gig card for it from Radio Shack. It was on sale. It also has three of the connectors are BNC connectors like this, and I wanted to use an RCA type plug similar to what's on the audio here. So for the video, I also purchased some of these from Radio Shack that basically adapt the BNC to an RCA female jack like that. And this is basically the part number for it right there. So I got that. I also got one of these, which is kind of a male-to-a-male adapter, just in case I needed it. Here's my ground station, and I have the DVR mounted right down here in the bottom of the ground station. Now it can take up to a 32 gig card, but the internal memory for the unit is only about 100 megabyte. You can see where the SD card conveniently mounts right here. You can slide it right in this slot. Now this DVR does not have the no card alarm, so if you leave the card out, it's not going to beep and tell you that the card's not in there. It doesn't seem to have that feature. I have an ammeter connected up to the DVR where the voltage, the 12 volts, goes into it. So I'm going to measure how much current it draws. Now on the back of the DVR it said it drew up to 130 milliamps. So 130 milliamps is not much. It's hard to believe that, so let's check it out. I'm going to plug a battery in right here, and then we'll see what the current is. So this is with the DVR recording on the SD card right here, and it's drawing about 100 milliamps. It's not even drawing 130 right now when it's recording, so that's looking real good. Now if I turn off the DVR, let's just turn it off here. Got to hold the button for a little bit, about 3 seconds for it to turn off. Okay, it's off now. And you can see the currents drop down to virtually zero. So There is 0 actually. So when it's off, it really is off. There's got to be some current there for the IR port to read this remote, though. So I think it's probably drawing something, because if I hit the remote, of course, it'll come back on. It's probably drawing some very small amount, like 10 milliamps or something. Now what I want to show you here is it actually has 2 video channels. You can't record 2 cameras at the same time, but you can switch between the channels. Now I've got a camera mounted right here on top of my monitor, looking back over here at another camera on my Skywalker. Now this camera is going into one channel and this camera is going into the other channel. Now if I hit the up-down arrow on my control right here, I can make it switch channels. Channel 1 right there, and that's coming from the video feed over here from the Skywalker. Now if I hit the arrow again right here, there's channel 2, and that's coming from this camera, which is on top of the monitor right there. So I just wanted to show you that's how you change channels. You just can't record both at the same time. If you look really close at the screen, you can see some sort of vertical lines going up and down, or little speckles going vertically up and down on the screen. If you look at the recording, though, those aren't there. It just seems to be noise that goes to the monitor and not really on the recording. So look at this footage right here, and you can see it's pretty clean. There doesn't seem to be any lines going through it or anything. So it looks good on the recording, but slightly noisy on the output. Not sure why that is. Here's the remote control, and if I press the menu button right here, it takes me into the menu. There, frame rate. In there, I've got it set to 25 frames per second. I can actually change that to 30. Alright, now go down to resolution. I've got it on 640 by 480. The highest resolution is D1. So, what I'll do is I'll go through some modes and show you what each one looks like. So let me back out of this by pressing escape. Okay, so here's the modes I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through 25 frames per second at 640 by 480, then 25 frames per second D1, and then 30 frames per second 640 by 480, and 30 frames per second D1. You can just look at all 4 of them and see if you can tell any difference. I could tell very little difference. So now, here is 25 frames per second 640 by 480. Okay, now let's go to 25 frames per second D1. Alright, now 30 frames per second 640 by 480. And finally 30 frames per second D1. Okay, there's the display right there from my Minim OSD from my Skywalker. It has an APM 2.6 on it. So this is what the information looks like. And it all fits on the screen. My other DVR, it wouldn't all fit on the screen. The edges were getting chopped off where I couldn't see this nomenclature here on the side. It has to have this remote control. There are no buttons on this DVR. So that would be the one drawback. I better carry an extra battery. There's like a small battery you can put in the back here. It's easy to remove. Okay, so let's take a look at that recording now. Okay, there's the recording. You can see what it looks like. I just plugged the provided USB cable into the DVR right here, and then plugged it into my laptop here, and it eventually came up with a dialogue here, just like you get with a flash drive or something like that. So it acts like a drive apparently. You can see here I have the record folder here, and then there's a photos folder. But in the record folder there is a folder that contains the latest recordings. And if I play one of them, let's see what happens. So that's how that works. You can read the files from the SD card without removing it from the DVR. So that's kind of nice. Now sometimes when I power the DVR on last, after turning on the video signal, I get this thing at the bottom. and it looks like a real mess. It is recording automatically right now. I found is if I just hit the stop the recording with my record button like that, and then I go into the menu, hit the menu button, and then back out of the menu with the escape, it goes back to normal. So that's just something to look out for. It's not totally bad. You can get out of it real quick. Just unplugging the video transmitter to see if the monitor will give a blue screen. I'm recording. The DVR is recording at this point. So I'm also basically checking to see if it'll lock up with just static going through it. Everything's looking good. Alright, so looks like it worked to me. I hope I've given you some useful information, and maybe you've never seen this DVR before, and so now you know about it. Thanks for watching, and leave any comments you want under the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.